the bit that you...
Okay. And then we're on to the 2020 California tour. It's not a tour. Let's just get that established at the outset. It's a sales trip. There's a very, very big difference between a tour and a sales trip. I don't think anybody has actually done a sales trip. At least a creator hasn't. The Marvel used to have, and DC both used to have reps on the road all the time, going store to store and hyping the books and trying to get sales up. So here are all the responses. Carson's post got David Birdsong says, perhaps the GoFundMe account could help to raise funds for the trip, but being restricted to just one state probably means limited fan support. Perhaps a sponsor could be found, but your guess is as good as mine as to who and how. A Kickstarter is another good idea, but you would have to offer something unique. The art on You Don't Know Jack is very, very good, and some of it would make nice prints, and prints did very well when Dave was doing the Cervix Archive Kickstarters. Maybe you, Carson, and Dave could do an all-new jam piece just to raise funds for the trip. I would limit it to something very specific so that you don't get the confusion that came with the earlier campaign. What we're trying to avoid here is Carson really having to do anything, because Carson is really not remotely sold on the idea of doing a sales trip, and it's definitely going to interfere with his teaching schedule. I guess his semester isn't over until July 10th, and what I'm talking about doing is starting just after Ramadan next year, which would be May 24th, 25, somewhere around there, and going through to San Diego. So the idea of Carson having to do extra drawing or having to sell artwork or whatever else to help pay for this, that's just not going to happen. And I don't think Cerebus or Carson or Dave Sims are in that GoFundMe sweet spot where you just go, hey, we started the GoFundMe page. Please, just everybody pile on and start giving us money. So that's probably not going to happen. But I think what is probably going to end up happening is wherever I am come July 10th, Carson will then join in if he's interested, and that would be between July 10th and San Diego, which would be, I think it's the 23rd next year, somewhere around there, anyway. So as far as I know, that's the situation that we're sitting at. Maybe Carson will get in on the Modesto stop because he's in Modesto. A couple of points around there. Right now, Rolly is working on the map, and I asked him specifically today, how's the California trip coming along? And last week, it was looking like there were 3 different scenarios of how it was going to be how it would be done. One starting in the north, going straight down to San Diego with a bunch of side trips. Another one that started in San Diego and went back the other way. And then one that is panning out the best as he's actually mapping it out is starting in Sacramento and then going north in an arc, and then coming back down through that arc to the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland, all the points around around there, and pretty much that's where everything picks up steam because all of the stores are much closer together and there's more stores. That's the big reason to do California, is because from San Francisco down to San Diego, bit of an exaggeration, it's just one big city. The strip malls get smaller, and then the strip malls get bigger, and then you find out that you're in another city, and then the strip malls get smaller again. So that's really the situation that we've got. Rolly just making an educated guess at this point today that it looks like it'd be about 40 days. And I asked him, is the 40 days including me taking Sunday off for the Sabbath? And he said that's not figured in, but that can be figured in. The other thing that he's figuring in is the 13 major print newspapers that are still being published in California, and where those are relative to the different stores. So the next time we'll be asking for everybody's opinion and what does this look like to you, and who figures that they can help with this section, and who figures they can help with that section, is when Rolly gets a sequential list of store number 1 through store number 185, and here's what it looks like on a map. And then we just start breaking it down. We're guessing somewhere between 4 and 5 stores a day. That might be optimistic, depending on how things go, how busy the store is. And we'll be emailing people with a tentative schedule. Tentatively, this is when Dave Sims will be coming to your store. And at some point, we're going to need a lot of volunteers, maybe like a half dozen, trading off with each other, keeping this all updated on a daily basis. I'm not going to develop any computer skills that I don't already have, and I have very few computer skills. But I will be phoning and saying, okay, I was supposed to get to 4 stores today. I only got 3 stores today. So please notify the stores as soon as possible that I'm not coming today, but as far as I know, I will be coming in tomorrow. Okay, this ties in with Tony Dumla saying, apparently nobody in California thinks Dave is a misogynist. And it's like, no, I definitely know better than that. Excuse me, if we're talking about any given state in the Union, that the majority of people are going to think I'm a misogynist is going to be California. I think the difference is with comic book stores and comic book store owners and comic book store managers and comic book store ordering people. Sometimes those are the same person, sometimes they're different people. I don't think you can be a successful store owner and allow your personal politics to interfere the way individuals allow their personal politics to interfere. I don't think you could stay in business if you had to agree with everybody's political opinion, whose work you sold and whose work you sold to other people. You just can't have those kinds of litmus tests as a retailer of, I'm sorry, if those are your interests and those are the comic books you want to read, I'm not going to supply you with those. It's like, I'm here to supply comic books. You tell me what comic books you want, you pay your bill on time, and it's all good. So this is one of the reasons that I'm doing it this way is I don't want to, I certainly had no interest from anybody in the whole trigger warning setup. Here's Dave Sim at this convention, or here's Dave Sim in this store, and you have to trigger warn people that Dave Sim is not a feminist, and Dave Sim doesn't pretend to be a feminist. So if you are a feminist and you are extremely sensitive about your feminism, and you get very, very easily offended if somebody says anything that isn't towing the feminist line, then you really don't want to talk to Dave Sim. And we want to warn you at the door that that is the situation, or warn you at this booth or whatever. You have to acknowledge the fact that Dave Sim isn't a feminist, and he's perfectly entitled to say things that are not feministic if you want to talk to Dave Sim. So this is why I'm doing it this way, where I'm going to the store and I'm talking to somebody at the store. It doesn't matter to me whether it's the owner or the manager or the person who orders graphic novels. That's what I'm interested in. It's just saying, this is what I'm doing. Here's a copy of it. This is what it looks like. Here's a promotional video for it. Here's the prequel to it. You Don't Know Jack, #1 and #2. Look at them. They're done. It's not a matter of, well, I wonder if that's even going to come out. It's like, no, it will come out because it's already done. These are just advanced copies. And particularly as it looks right now, it's going to be an art catalog. That will be the first form that Strange Death of Alex Raymond, Volume 1, and You Don't Know Jack, 1 and 2, and the Hermitage Awesomes catalog with the You Don't Know Jack artwork. Probably will be in all-in-one package, maybe with the 2 You Don't Know Jack issues as individual comic books. And it'll basically, I'm just walking in and saying, here's what I'm going to be selling, here's the idea behind it, and asking them, do you want a copy for yourself? Do you know anybody else who would want a copy? And because it's an art catalog, what I want to do is each person that gets an art catalog, I want to have their email address and their phone number so that I can contact them directly, or someone can contact them directly anytime a piece of artwork from that catalog is being offered. One of the problems that I'm